Okay, so I am going to restart. So I'm gonna restart and I'm going to log in to this server. So I'm going back to manage Jenkins, okay? And we can see the warning we had from the plugin I was showing you the other time. Let's go back to our config system and we'll see some of the plugins we just installed. Okay. So notice that now that I am here, I can have now I see my GitLab. And with that, I can come here and give it a name, any name. I can say my GitLab. I can call it any name. Okay. My GitLab. I can call it any name. I can call it my project name. Now I have to specify the URL of the GitLab. Okay. Which is prod GitLab dot datanix.com. And now I have to specify, in order for me to log into Datanix, Prod GitLab, I have to specify a username and a password, or I have to use API token, which means I can go to my GitLab and go and create API token. And I'm going to show you how to create that in a minute. Okay. So one of the things we want to do, we want to make sure we are able to create API token on the GitLab and be able to access it. Okay. And because our repository repository management application is GitLab, and that's why we're linking GitLab. If the case is GitHub, we have to do something similar to connect our CI to our GitHub, because that is the only way our CI tool, which is Jenkins, can communicate with our repository tool. And that's why we need, whatever we're integrating with our Jenkins, we need to have their plugin installed. So once we have their plugin installed, we see those tools somewhere here in the system configuration, and we can configure. This is where we configure the system with Jenkins. So back to what we're doing. So now we want to integrate GitLab with Jenkins. That's what we are about to do here. And I said we want to put the name, my GitLab. This can be any name depending on what you are going on. This is my fully qualified domain name. If you don't have your DNS setup running, you want to put your IP address instead of your fully qualified domain name. And you notice this is HTTPS. So one of the things you want to make sure is, if you don't have XSL configure or some error, you want to say ignore SSL certificate error, because if you don't ignore it, then it's going to bond you. So I'm going to come back to this. So let's go generate our API token. In order to generate our API token, we want to go to our settings, and right here where it says access token, we want to click on access token, and I want to say Jenkins. I want to say CI, and I can specify when this token expires. Okay, and I can say 2029. Okay. API, grant access, including our group and projects, and I can say create personal access token. This personal access token that is created right here, you want to make sure you save this. Okay, you want to make sure you save this, and you can come right here and say add Jenkins, come to the kind, and you can click on the different kind of credentials. Now we're working about GitLab API token. Click GitLab API token, and we can, if this API token is specifically for a user, I can just put something like Joseph API token. So at least this tells me that this is API token I created, okay? And I can paste the token right here, and I can say add, okay? That means the API token is there. Now I can come down here. You can see Joseph API token, which I wrote in the description, and I can put this right here. And if I put this here, I can say test connection. You see, it's complaining about the, anytime you see this, it's talking about the SSL. So by the time I do ignore and I try this again, now we are successful. GitLab has been successfully integrated with Jenkins. Okay, I can also change this to GitLab. Okay, and that is done. So there are other things we can also integrate depending on what we're actually doing. Okay, I mean, this is GitLab token again. We can also put a token here also, and this is our token. We can put our URL right here also, you know. So there are so many configurations we can actually do depending on what you have and what you got going on. Okay, we can have, and once we do all that, this is also asking us for a GitLab host. You can put this right here, and we can apply and save. Okay, voila. So now we have our config system done. Now we can go to our configure global security. Okay, there are so many ways we can manage security in Jenkins. Okay, one of the things you can also do, you can actually disable remember me. You always want to do that so that when people log in, their password is not remembered. Look at this. Login user can do anything. Of course, you don't want to do that. Okay, you want to do something like metrics-based security or project-based security, or you even want to integrate your Jenkins to LDAP and manage things that way, or you can use Unix group database. There are so many ways you can manage access control here. Okay, so if I go to metrics based, I'm not doing project based, now I'm doing metrics based, and it says anonymous user. So interesting. So I can come to add user. Remember, I have a user called Joseph, okay, which is me and the admin. I can say, okay, this is Joseph, and I can come to this check button and give Joseph all access. Now, another user, admin, right? Remember, I created admin. I can say, okay, and I can assign all access to admin to, or I can just decide, you know what? I don't want this admin to be able to delete job. I don't want this admin to be able to delete anything. Okay? You can create, but you cannot delete anything. So if there is a problem and it needs to delete something, then you need to contact me. Even you can say, okay, I don't want you to create. Okay? I don't want you to be the admin. You can restrict access from here. Okay. And once you're done, you can go ahead and apply. Save, sorry, save. You can save and apply. Okay. Okay. We can save. Let's make sure we have that save. Okay. We can save and apply. And again, I'm just doing this just to show you how this is done. Of course, if I have admin, of course, I don't want to take administer and all this access away from my admin, but I'm just doing this so that you see how access can be restricted on this. Okay, you want to say save, and you want to apply, and you want to save. Okay, so now let's look at something else. Okay, we'll just check configuration system. Let's check credentials, configure credentials. This is where you configure credentials. Okay, and also if you go to credentials right here, we click on credentials right here. There are so many ways you can manage your credentials. If I click on credentials, and I can say manage it from here. Okay, so I can come here and say, so I went from credential, system, global credential, and I can say add credential. So now this is going to ask me the type of credential I want to add. It can be Docker or certificate authentication, SSH, private key, remember? So these you're going to need for integrating your Tomcat. Remember now, your Tomcat with your Jenkins. Maybe you want to do passwordless login using SSH key. So you have so many ways of, so if you do SSH, of course, it's going to ask you for the private key. You can enter the private key, you can hide the private key, you can, if you have passphrase, you can do so many things, okay? You can also paste the key, okay? There are so many ways to skin a cow, okay? And that's for the credentials. So also we have global tool configuration. So a good example is Git. In order for our Jenkins to do a pull from the repository, you need a Git to be installed. Okay, so if I don't have Git installed on my server, then whatever I try to do won't work. So I have to do yum install Git on this server. Okay, Git is already installed. If I do which Git, it's telling me Git is installed in this location. So I have to specify the path of Git on the server. If you have Java, you have to add your Java. Okay, you have to add your Java in this location. If you have Maven, you have to specify your Maven. Gradle, you have to specify Docker, you have to specify. So this is where you have all the tools. Okay, this is where you add all the tools you're going to be using with your Jenkins. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, and there are so many other things we can say. We want to add a node, a slave node. We can configure new node. We set up new node, and we add new node to our Jenkins, a slave node to our Jenkins. Yeah, depending on the reason why you will need a slave, you may need a slave not to overboarding your master and all that, different reasons. Okay, so and I showed you how to use the manage user. So you want to go ahead and play with um, all this stuff, you know, trying different things. And I am going to talk more about all this during the integration video, integration of Jenkins, GitLab, and Tomcat. I'm going to use some of these tools more, and you're going to see how these are actually working. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.